Hi, I'm Daniel Andrews, owner and creator of the DAN Show, and welcome to my latest 2021 NFL preview video. Today, I'm going to break down the New England Patriots, but before I get started, if you're new here, this is your first time here, I just got one simple question to ask you. Do you like football? Because if so, you're in the right place. Go ahead, hit that subscribe button, and while you're at it, ring the bell. That way you can get notified every time I come out with a new video. If you've been here before, you already know the drill. You give me the thumbs up, and you drop a comment below with your opinion. I offer you my opinion, but I really want to hear from you. I want to hear what you think about the Patriots for the 2021 NFL season. Now, here's how this video works. I'm going to give you 3 things I like, followed by 3 things I don't like, but stick around to the very end where I break down the biggest over-under, and if I am going to put action down on the New England Patriots. Now, let's start off with the first thing I like about the New England Patriots. The first thing I like about the Patriots is their defensive front 7. Now, I like to use our lads as a source of looking up the depth chart, and currently they have 13 starters on defense, which obviously can't happen. But the thing is that I think the Patriots defense is so multifaceted that you'll have different starters depending on who they play against, and you could even have different players on the field play to play. I could make this video an hour long just talking about the defensive changes that Bill Belichick does, but just to keep it short and sweet, I love their front 7, and what I like is that not only was this one of the better defenses in the National Football League last year, they get massive improvements. You get Dante Hightower back, your Pro Bowl linebacker, he sat out last year. Then you get free agents Kyle Van Noy and Matt Judon. Kyle Van Noy played in the New England system. He already knows how it works. And Matt Judon, who's from Baltimore, played in a sort of similar type of defense, but adds a pass rush dimension that was really lacking on last year's Patriots team. And then you also have second-year players, a second-round pick Josh Uche, third-round pick Anthony Jennings that barely played last year. Rookies have a hard time adapting to this defense, but without OTAs and minicamps, they were even further behind. And both these guys barely played. These guys will contribute, however, in 2021. And with all these additions, I really believe that this front 7 could be the best front 7 in football. And tied hand in hand with the front 7 is the second thing I love about the New England Patriots, and that is their draft. When I looked at the Patriots defense, you have studs in the secondary, you have studs all over the linebacking core, but you didn't have a stud on the defensive line. Then in the second round, you trade up in the second round, you get defensive tackle Christian Barmore, the best defensive tackle in the draft. Now, for those of you that don't know, Nick Saban and Bill Belichick coached together since the 80s, or coached together in the 80s. So they've known each other for a very long time. They're really good friends. So having an Alabama player going to New England almost seems like an unfair advantage on its own. But when you have the MVP of the national championship game as a defensive tackle going to New England, it's almost an absolute steal. I like this pick for a lot of reasons. Number one, the one thing that was really lacking was a stud on the defensive line. And number two, you get a player of almost limitless potential in Barmore, who goes to a team where he doesn't need to be a star. He just needs to be a part of the machine. He just needs to be a cog in the machine, where if he went to go to another team, he might be expected to be a Pro Bowl caliber player this year, which he does have the potential to do. You combine that with third-round pick Ronnie Jenkins, which multiple mock drafts had him going as soon as the first round. You get him in the third round. This is another positionless player who adds pass rush, linebacking, defensive end abilities. This is a perfect fit for the New England Patriots. And then you get another draft pick that I absolutely love, and that's fourth-round pick Rondale Stevenson. This was the Cotton Bowl MVP, and I didn't like him for every team, but I love him for New England. This is a 245-pound running back who's going to a team that wants to be a run-heavy team. A side note is that even though he was 245 pounds and a really big-time prospect, he had under 200 touches in college. But his last game, he was MVP of the Cotton Bowl. Don't be surprised if his stat line this year is somewhere around 50 to 75 carries and 9 to 12 touchdowns. And again, not a player I liked for every team, but I love him for the Patriots. And I haven't even brought up Mac Jones yet. Every draft expert, including myself. Now, I'm not a draft expert, but I am a draft fan, and me and all the draft experts had one thing in common. They all said the same thing. You have to trade up in order to get Mac Jones. No, they don't. And I gave the Patriots an A-plus draft grade. In my opinion, they had easily the best draft class in the NFL. Now, again, not a draft expert, but for you draft fans, please comment below because I want to know what you thought. In my opinion, the Patriots had the best draft. Again, I'd want to hear from you. Finally, the third thing I like about the New England Patriots is a complete no-brainer. I like head coach Bill Belichick. You have arguably the greatest head coach of all time, and going into the 2021 season, you have Bill Belichick as an underdog. I'm going to say this one more time. Bill Belichick going into 2021 has his team as a underdog. So you got to love that. And bet against Bill Belichick if you want, but he is arguably the greatest coach in NFL history. There's really not too much to say about that. So just to recap, the three things I like about the Patriots is the defensive front seven, which go tied hand in hand with the second thing I like is the 2021 draft, which of course will help out the front seven. And you have maybe the greatest head coach in NFL history. Now, three things I don't like about the New England Patriots. The first thing I don't like about the Patriots is the quarterback situation. Now, drafting Mac Jones, who will most likely be the starter in 2022, is a good thing. I mean, the Mac Jones draft pick's a good thing. It causes two issues for 2021. Number one, it shows that Cam Newton isn't the real deal. Now, Cam Newton had a lot of struggles last year. I mean, he came in late. He battled injuries. He had COVID. There's a lot of reasons outside of normal reasons why he wasn't successful last year. But bottom line is that the Patriots know he's not the long-term solution. How do I know this? Well, they wouldn't have drafted Mac Jones if he was. And this causes the first problem of Cam Newton not being the franchise quarterback. They know he's not the franchise quarterback. And the second issue is that if Mac Jones does start this year at any point in time, it's very rare that rookie quarterbacks come in and excel year one. I mean, look at Justin Herbert. He had a great rookie season. What happened? His head coach got fired. So, I mean, you know Cam Newton's not the guy, and all rookie quarterbacks struggle a little bit. It's very, very rare a rookie quarterback comes in and excels. And if you say Justin Herbert, I'll say, well, his coach got fired. The second thing I don't like, which goes hand in hand with the quarterback situation, is I don't like the Patriots wide receiving core. Now, related to the wide receiving core is that they went ahead and signed Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry tight ends, and those guys are going to play quite a bit. But you also signed Kendrick Bourne and Nelson Aguilar. Both of these guys you had to overpay for, and neither one of them are really legitimate number one wide receivers. Now, you had that with Jacoby Myers and former first-round pick N'Keal Harry. You have some decent players, but you don't have a legitimate number one wide receiver. Let's say it's third and 7. Who's your go-to guy? Well, Tom Brady for the last several years had Julian Edelman. Who does Cam Newton or Mac Jones have? Which guy's your number one wide receiver? Hunter Henry went to a Pro Bowl as a tight end, but who's your number one wide receiver? Bottom line, you don't have one. You're just hoping that kind of hoping N'Keal Harry pans out as the number one pick, which he hasn't even come close so far, or that one of these guys who was a second or third wide receiver on these teams really develops. Either way, you don't have a legitimate number one wide receiver. And the third thing I don't like about the Patriots is Father Time. Normally, Father Time relates to players, but in this situation, it refers to both Bill Belichick and the Patriots dynasty. All dynasties come to an end. Now, the Patriots dynasty has so far lasted for 2 decades, and maybe it's not dead, but it is coming to an end. Now, personally, I do think it's dead. The Patriots were the team of the 2000s. They were the team of the 2010s. I think a new team is going to be the team of the 2020s, but it doesn't mean that the Patriots don't have a dangerous team. Here's the thing. Bill Belichick is 69, and there's plenty of Hall of Fame head coaches that have ended their career on a bad note. Take Tom Flores. He was just introduced to Canton this year. His final season in the NFL, he was 6-10. And if you want to argue and say, hey, that doesn't count because he was with the Seahawks, fine. His final year with the Raiders, he was 5-10, and that was in 1987 where they had that shortened 15-game season, so that's why he's 5-10. I'm not saying Belichick's time is done. I'm not saying he can't win without Brady. I am saying he's 69. He's been an NFL head coach for 26 years. This will be year 27. Bottom line, all coaches retire, all dynasties die. These are just facts. So to recap the three things I don't like about the Patriots, I don't like the quarterback situation. Tied hand in hand with I don't like their receiving core. And Father Time is working against both Belichick and the Patriots dynasty. So now is the money-making part of the show. This is the part of the show where I break down the Vegas over-under and I reveal if I am putting action down on the New England Patriots. The over-under is 9, and as you can see here, for over 9 wins is negative 140, and under 9 is plus 120. For those of you that aren't familiar with sports betting, the negative 140 means that you have to wager $140 to win 100. So if you like over 9 wins, you have to wager 140 to win 100. But if you like under 9 at plus 120, a $100 wager will win you $120. Now, because of the big difference between yes and no, this could easily jump up to 9.5, and there's probably some places that are offering 9.5 right now. I'm using Westgate Casino in Las Vegas to get these numbers, so I'm going by what's posted, and the answer is I like the over. And I also have bonus action for you. In order for the New England Patriots to make the playoffs, as you can see here, is plus 135 for yes and negative 155 for no. And I do like the Patriots to make the playoffs. So the $100 wager to make the playoffs would win you 135. Of course, if you don't like the Patriots to make the playoffs, you have to wager 155 to win 100. I would never recommend making a bet like that. So just to reiterate, I like the over and I like the playoffs. Now, there are some questions with the Patriots, so am I putting action down on them? The answer is no, I am not. I'm going to make a pass on the Patriots, but I do like the over, and I do think that they can make the playoffs as a wild card team. So if I was going to recommend putting action on the Patriots, I would go with a minimum of 75-25 split, which I would say 75 on the over, and then 25 maximum to make the playoffs. But if you're going to take the over, you might as well take advantage of that plus 135 in order to make the playoffs, and I would sprinkle in a little bit. I would say a maximum of 25% of whatever you're going to bet on the Patriots. I would put that on making the playoffs. But again, I am going to pass on betting on the New England Patriots this season. So listen, if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps me out a lot. And if you are a subscriber, you already know the drill. You give me a thumbs up and drop a comment below, because this whole video is just a simple conversation starter. You know, I'm offering my opinion, but really I want to hear from you. I want to hear what you think. So don't forget, drop a comment below. And Wednesday, I'm going to break down the Arizona Cardinals. So I will see you Wednesday.